Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing a watch launched in 2018 in a form that I have never experienced it. This is the Blancpain 50 Fathoms Grande dot, but it is on a bracelet. This bracelet that you see right here, quite different from the strap on which I have previously reviewed this big date titanium model. Bracelet reference 98 changes the complexion of the watch. So if you love the X70 series, this is basically that in titanium. So you love the X71, well, it increases the size of the watch, and so does this 98. So let's take a look at this watch, which is 45 millimeters in diameter, 16.3 millimeters thick. From lug to lug, 50.7 millimeters is the distance across the wrist until we add the solid end links of this reference 98 bracelet. Now it's 55.7 millimeters across the wrist, and as ever, with a 23 millimeter spacing between the lugs. This is where the watch really increases its size and why I have to shoot a different video when I get the same watch on a bracelet, because it transforms the way the watch wears. Now, some might argue that I could wear this, and I'll zoom out as much as I can and let you see the watch in proportion. If your wrist is my size and you think this looks good, and I'm not going to disagree, then the fit is fine. Beyond a doubt, on a strap, this watch is a beautiful fit for my wrist. The bracelet does add a little bit of shoulder, so I'm going to let you decide, is this too much or just right? I would say 16 centimeter circumference wrists or up to wear this one well. It is not particularly thin, and so just like a standard 50-15, and its derivatives, which this is, the watch will wear under most cuffs, but for sure under jacket sleeves. Taking a look at the bracelet, the reference 50-50 is all in satin, and it has a bracelet to match. Now, they claim that this grade 23 titanium, as Blancpain calls it, is the same thing as grade 5, but more resilient. Well, I can't verify that because grade 5 is polishable and grade 2 is not, and this is not polished. So I'm going to take them at their word that this is more like grade 5 than grade 2, and I will tell you this, it is held up well against abrasion, as this watch features few, if any, marks. All of satin finish. I actually prefer this to the polished models. It's less ostentatious. Already a large watch, polishing it, especially with a full bracelet, can make it more than some can stomach, and I consider myself to be one among them. As you'll note, the bracelet is a remarkably built thing with every single link sizable. You can see that the fixing screws are on the bottom, keeping the flanks beautifully bare and satinated. You can also see that the links are countersunk into each other, making for fantastic tolerances and very minimal play. That said, there are gaps between the center links, so the bracelet will not trap heat, sweat, or grit on the wrist. We have a twin trigger deployment system here. You can see both sides closed, Blancpain logo, and of course the founding of the original company, 1735. Twin trigger release, you must press them both for release. Note the interior is a combination of brushed satin and media blasted. Rolling around the case, you can see it's very similar to the 50-15. Same case for all intents and purposes, but we have this vertical satination. The lugs are broken out distinctly, so not really like a Seamaster or a Rolex diver in that those all have blended lugs. Here the lugs have their own separate sculptural form. We have little hex keys and bars that run through, and this is a very secure way of building an expensive and heavy watch. And make no mistake, despite titanium, the sheer size of this watch means it still has a satisfying heft. It doesn't feel toy-like. So I'm happy to see screws and bars used to fix the bracelet to the case. No spring bars here. Those have always been traitors. Taking a quick look, we've got a sharply knurled crown with a crown guard structure. It's a big crown, so it's easy to get enough torque to unscrew it or to screw it down. Some tiny shouldered crowns can be a pain to operate. This one's a pleasure. Now, the watch has all the functions you get on a basic 50-15, including stop seconds or hacking, so you can set it to a reference time. Plus, make sure we're not in the date change danger zone there. There is also a quick set system for that charmingly large and oversized date. And you will note that the watch uses all applique indices and what appear to be hybrid broadsword syringe hands, an unusual look distinctive of this model. The watch also has a fully luminescent bezel, and that lume hides under the protection of a cambered sapphire cap. This 120-click bezel can be precisely aligned with the minute hand to provide you a parallel timer, a wonderful way to back up your primary dive timer. Most people wouldn't use a dive watch as a primary these days, but if you needed to, you could. Most of the time, this will be a backup for your dive timer, your digital dive timer. And because it has that sapphire cap, the entire bezel, not just the pearl, can be loomed for easier reading. You'll also note all three hands loomed, including the seconds hand, so you know before dive and mid-dive whether your watch is still running. So this cambered sapphire crystal has been a signature of the 50 Fathoms, at least the standard core model, since the 2003 anniversary variant came out. And back in 2007, when this case shape and size arrived for the modern era, the cambered sapphire was retained, even though by that point ceramic was available, just as scratch resistant and a lot cheaper. I'm happy to see the cambered crystal retained. Also, you can see the big date. That was a 2018 innovation. The movement on the reverse side is clearly based on the 1315, but this one is the Blancpain 6918B, automatic winding with 3 mainspring barrels. It has a 5-day power reserve, 120 hours, a 4 hertz beat rate, a full 6 positions of adjustment, not 5 like a chronometer, 6, the most demanding adjustment schedule. It's free sprung for shock resistance, and it has a recessed bolt, variable inertia balance, and it also features an anti-magnetic silicone hairspring, so you have a very durable regulator structure and then an anti-magnetic property as well. The rotor features a combination of mirrored anglage on its edge, a raised, relieved satin channel around the profile, and then you can see the center has been media blasted. We have this lovely satin graining spiraling out across the bridges, a wonderful alternative to Côte de Genève. We have broad, and I mean mile-wide, mirror-beveled edges. This anglage is among the finest I've seen in a series production watch. All screw heads black polished with chamfered slots and circumference. And you can see little details that matter, like the jewel sinks also receiving a polished beveling, and I love that satin graining across the surfaces of this 44 jewel movement. Lots to love, and these movements are well known to run within 1 or 2 seconds a day. Really reliable, tough, and beautifully finished. This is the ultimate high horology dive watch. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.